Good morning, I hope you're well. So it's a message to my friends who are dispensationalists. Think that Paul taught something other than what Jesus was teaching. That he didn't want us to think to keep the commandments, which I don't understand fully. But Paul wrote early on, and two of his books, he speaks of uncircumcision and circumcision, and its unimportance, but he says something very curious in one of the examples of making this point about circumcision. So I just want to show that. I'd love to get a response. So in Galatians 5:6, he says, "For in Christ Jesus neither circumcision nor uncircumcision means anything, but faith working through love." I don't think anybody has a problem with that, as long as it's not keeping those filthy commandments or whatever. But then in 1 Corinthians 7:19, he ends that statement with, some versions say, the keeping of the commandment, but the thing that matters is the keeping of the commandments of God. Some people like to point out, it's often said the laws of Christ. Well, here it says God, Theos. It would be a problem anyways to think that the commandments of God are different than those of Christ, for obvious reasons. So he's obviously not saying 613 laws is all or nothing, because right here, circumcision doesn't matter, but keeping some commandments are. Does he mean circumcision included in that? Wouldn't make sense, would it? So there are distinctions made with the law, obviously. They never quote, in the New Testament, whenever they reference the law, they mention the 10 Commandments. So let's get real with that. So the Jews, what were they tasked with to man? Why were they interested? Well, we know to bring Christ, right? But Christ was fulfilling what they wouldn't, that is, bringing the oracles of God to the nations, calling the nations back to God that were dispersed at the Tower of Babel, which God had to force them apart to keep them from growing too evil again. And what is he doing with Abraham? He's calling the nations back to himself. Do you really think he gave some laws to the Jews that were bad? Do you think when the mixed multitude joined Israel, they weren't benefited with the grace of God's ways handed to mankind from God? The law was a mirror. He's speaking to his Israelite, at minimum, those who were under the law. It never saved anybody. That's what Paul says. It was a mirror to drive them to Christ. Does that mean we shouldn't keep them now? No, that's where the misunderstanding comes in. In particular, you had to give the Sabbath to the stranger within your gate, even the animals. What does that tell you? Does God give arbitrary laws, or do you need rest? Remember the Sabbath. God bless.